I'm just going to hit the record button. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to this presentation tonight about practical legal training at the College of Law. My name is Jackie Owen, and I'm the Relationship Manager at the College of Law in Queensland, which means it's my job to travel around virtually and in person to all of the universities and working with lots of lovely law students such as yourself and getting you guys ready to graduate and head off into the profession. So it's a real thrill to be able to do this role. So tonight we're talking all about practical legal training, and I'm very excited to share with you our new slide deck. So I'll go ahead and share those slides and you'll be able to see those now. Hold on a minute. Okay, good. Excellent. So I'm hoping that you can all, there you go. I'm sure if, I'll just go back to the chat. Maybe if someone can just let me know if they can see those slides all right in the chat. Excellent, thanks Ruby. Excellent, this is the lovely Jaya. She is now an admitted practitioner. We're very proud of her. I've known Jaya for a lot of years. Years and years ago, she was a CPA student ambassador for me when I worked over there. And then when I came to the College of Law, she turned up at UQ and also then at the College of Law. And she's actually an in-house lawyer for a resources company. So a great example of how, you know, you can begin your career as an in-house counsel, and she's doing some great things there, including already heading up the Young Lawyer Committee within the Resources Council. So she's sort of one that we're very, very proud of. So it might be one of you guys on the front of this slide deck in a couple of years, and I'll be showing off about how fabulous you are. So we've got lots of our grads in the slide deck telling you all about PLT and their experience, including the lovely Jaya, who's a good friend. So we're going to talk about how flexible the College of Law is, and that's certainly the one thing that Jaya really wanted to express when we were talking to her. She had just moved over from Perth and was in a new job when she started PLT, and so she had to balance the competing pressures of that new job, getting settled into Brisbane, you know, moving and unpacking and all that around her PLT, and she really liked the fact that she could work it in and around her busy life. So certainly lots of our graduates do say the same thing. It's very flexible and it is designed to fit around people who are working and have other competing priorities in their life. So we'll talk a bit about how that works. I love this analogy. It is talking about how university is where you build the boat. So you learn all the theoretical foundations of the law, and that's the boat. But then you've got this beautiful boat and you really can't just chuck it out into the water or into the legal profession and expect to be able to be a lawyer. You need to learn how to sail that boat. And that's where the practical legal skills that you'll learn with us at PLT will give you those navigational skills and to sail that boat. So we'll add those practical skills and the practical tools that you'll need to be an entry-level lawyer and to be able to work in whatever graduate role it is that you end up in with competence, but also confidence. It's about giving you the confidence to go out there and work in that entry-level role. So here's what a few of our grads have said. Kirilla puts flexibility as number one. Kirilla did the course with a 2-year-old at the time, plus working full time. So she was a busy mum. She's since had 2 more babies, but busy mum with a 2-year-old at the time, plus working. That she was volunteering at a law firm, plus working volunteering at a legal community legal centre, and that PLT position where she was volunteering actually turned into a full-time paid role, and she's now working for them still, and as a criminal and a family lawyer, as well as a duty lawyer for the courts as well. Here's our lovely Tracy. Hi Tracy, welcome. I've got all the guys from the Sunshine Coast online, and just so that you know, we've got a fabulous new slide deck. So it's new for you as well as it is for everyone else.
It looks great. Sorry I'm late, everybody. The link wouldn't work for me for some reason, despite the fact that I was on there last night teaching evening classes. But yeah, for some reason it threw me out.
That's no worries. Here you are. So we haven't got to your bit yet, so it's perfect timing, actually.
That's
and
fine.
Everyone who's going to network and Nibbles, you'll also meet Tracy on that evening as well. So I do encourage you to come along. So basically, Jay is saying it gave her the skills, just what I was explaining before, to enter the workforce with confidence. And Damon says it was supporting him to be the best new lawyer that he could be. So that's what practical legal training is all about. It's about giving you those skills, but also giving you confidence to be able to step out into the profession. And that's what we're really seeking to do, give you the confidence and the competence to work those first jobs. You will continue learning throughout your career. Tracy would probably say that she learns something new about the law every single day. And certainly in those first 2 years, your learning curve is very, very steep indeed as you're continuing gathering new skills, testing and trying and practicing what you've learnt and learning more as well. Excellent. Ruby says that Nibbles and networking tickets will be available very soon. Stay tuned in the next day, maybe even tonight or in the next day or so, there'll certainly be tickets available. So I hope it is not a shock to anyone at this stage at uni, and it's all right if it is, that you can't just have a law degree to call yourself a lawyer and to be a lawyer. In fact, you can get into a little bit of trouble if you do. So of course you do need a law degree, and that's, that solid theoretical foundation that we were just talking about. So, but to that, you also need to add the practical legal training, which is a postgraduate level qualification. It's called your graduate diploma of legal practice. It's not just a little certificate thing that you have. It's a postgraduate qualification. You need to prove yourself a fit and proper person and apply for admission through the Queensland Practitioners Admissions Board. And then there's a whole lot of forms and a bit of a process there. You'll then go to an admissions ceremony, which is lovely. It happened in the Supreme Court of Brisbane. Someone will stand up and move your admission. You stand up too. As a group, with everyone else being admitted, you'll say a couple of oaths and allegiances, and then you'll go out and sign the role of solicitors. Now, this is a role that's been kept for a couple of 100 years in the Supreme Court. So you'll join an esteemed profession going back many, many years indeed. So it's a very special day. And then everyone gives you hugs and flowers and takes you out for lunch. So it's a very, very exciting day. You will then apply for your practicing certificate from the Queensland Law Society, and you'll be able to call yourself a lawyer solicitor. You can, of course, work in other legal as well as non-legal roles. And then if you do seek to become a barrister, the role of solicitors and the role of barristers is separate in Queensland. You then do an exam to get into the bar course, and then you do the bar course. And Kirilla, who I was talking about just before, she's actually just been accepted into the bar course, and she's doing that later on in the year with 3 kids. So how's that for a busy lady? So that is the career pathway, sort of simplified a little bit. Of course, there's many, 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 many roles that you can do that open up to you once you're an admitted practitioner. So that's exciting. So we are all about giving you a choice on how you want to do PLT. You can choose to do it 100% online or in a blended learning situation. So before COVID, way back in the olden days of 2019, before we'd ever heard of anything called coronavirus, corona was just a beer. We didn't know it was a virus as well. So a long, long time ago, what Tracy and I would be saying to you is this is how you do PLT. You come and do week 1 face-to-face, and we do offer to teach that on the Sunshine Coast at the University of Queensland. Most likely, 99.9% of the time, taught by Tracy Reeves herself. And she takes you for that week face-to-face in a classroom, and then the rest of the course is online. However, obviously with COVID, we all did that famous pivot, and we very quickly moved our course to 100% online. Now, that week 1 of face-to-face workshop still happens, and it's in a Zoom situation, but it's sort of not like this with just one person talking to you in a one-way situation. We all have our cameras on. Everyone's sort of in the room. You actually have to have your camera on because Tracy has to put her hand on her heart and do the little Girl Guides promise to the admissions board that you are all there and you are all there for the entirety of the course, and you haven't turned your camera off and, I don't know, gone for a walk with the dog or something. You are actually there. It's interactive. You're doing stuff. You're working in groups. You're going into breakout rooms. You're coming back in. There's discussion and a lot of fun. So you do that sort of at a face-to-face learning situation online, so you don't have to leave home. And then the rest of the course is online, working through your coursework like you usually would. So the blended learning is now back, and you can choose to do that in Brisbane, or you can choose to do that a couple of times a year on the Sunshine Coast. So we do have one of those coming up at the end of June, beginning of July. So you just a word of a caveat to that is that we do need to have a minimum of 10 people there. So if there's less than 10 people, then it will move online. You can choose to do the course full-time, which is 15 weeks, or part-time, which is 30 weeks. If you're working full-time, we highly recommend it that you do it part-time. That week one will actually still be full-time. You'll be doing those full-time workshops, either 100% online or that blended learning model, which is week one is face-to-face in a classroom. But the remaining 29 weeks will be on a part-time. You can choose to get your own work experience, which most of our students do, or you can use our jobs board to gain some PLT experience. And you can also work with our careers counsellors, the lovely Susan and then the lovely Ruth. They're based in Melbourne and Sydney, but they work with our students all across the country, and they'll help you with your resume and your interview skills and everything that you need to be interview and job applicant ready. So those are the choices that you'll make. So as our graduates have said, it's all about a flexible program, giving you the practical skills to be able to sail out into law land and be a confident and competent entry-level lawyer. We focus on real-world tasks rather than old-school theory, and we are setting you up to be career ready from day one as soon as you step into that firm or organisation. And we are a very trusted provider. We've been training new lawyers for, I think it's 48 or 49 years, I don't know, early 70s. And we've been in Queensland for nearly 20 years. And over 30 of Australia's top law firms actually partner with us to train their graduates within their graduate program. So if you do end up in one of those programs, you'll come to us as a matter of course. Here's Kirilla again. So it's very much about flexibility. This is what she was saying before. We've already talked about 100% online or mixed. We also have an evening course. Now, this is only available online, and this is quite exciting that this particular course is now online. So it used to be that it was, you had to come to Brisbane, and that obviously didn't work well if you were on the Sunshine Coast. It's a long way to come home twice a week. What we do is we take week one, and instead of you going into a classroom either virtually or in person with one of our lecturers like Tracy, we carve that week up into about 12 bite sizes. And you will do a bite every Tuesday and Thursday night across 6 weeks. Sometimes it might go for a bit longer if needed, but basically about twice a week for 6 or 7 weeks, you'll come in via Zoom after work at 6 o'clock and do your week one. So it's great if you've got a new job and you can't take leave. It's also great if you've got a super busy job or other responsibilities which mean you can't sort of, check out to come to PLT for that week one. That's been so popular recently. We've had to double the amount of classes we're running in that format. So there's a couple more of those coming up. 15 or 30 weeks, which is part-time or full-time. And across across Australia, we have about 150 intakes a year. So that's heaps, averages out about three a week. In Queensland, there's about 30 different intakes across the year. And we've actually put on 3 extra classes this year already, just because our numbers have been so huge. So that's great news. We don't have to wait a whole semester. We can just put on another group when the demand is there. Okay, blah, 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 30 plus firms, 77% of law students across Australia do choose us. And I've already mentioned, we've been doing this a long time, since the olden days of 1974. I was just a little poppet at that time. And look at me now, all grown up to all 5'2" of me. So we've been doing this a long time. We know what we're doing is what we're trying to say there. That's lovely, Jessica. We also, if you are thinking about moving interstate or intrastate, you can actually do the College of Law course in 19 different locations. In Queensland, when we do, obviously we teach virtually, but when we do teach face-to-face, not only do we teach out of our beautiful Brisbane campus on Ann Street, right next to King George Square in the middle of the Brisbane CBD, a stone's throw from the court. What we also teach in Cairns, Gold Coast, Rockhampton, Sunshine Coast, Toowoomba and Townsville in alphabetical order. And when we're on the Sunshine Coast, we teach at the Sunshine Coast University. So you guys will know where all the good coffee shops and where the best snacks are. So that's a real benefit there. Oh, look, there's so many dates, I can't even go through them. I would recommend getting online at collaw.edu.au/PLT. And we've got dates through till October with our November onwards dates, because November is actually the start of our next academic year. I don't know why, it's a bit weird, the timing of it all. But in a couple of months, you'll be able to register for courses from November onwards as well. So as I said, over 150 different courses a year nationally, with about 30 of those in Queensland. All right, let's get into the fun stuff, the nitty gritty. So I like to think of PLT as being divided into 3 separate sections. They all, of course, cross-check into each other. They all intermingle, all the information and the learning and the experience. However, you do need to have a tick in each of these 3 check boxes before you can get your completion certificate. So if you change in your head where it says 3 course pillars into your name, so in your head, just change that to your name, you will complete your coursework and you will check that circle 1. You will complete your work experience and you will check that circle 2. And then you'll complete your continuing professional education CPE and you'll check that circle as well. Once the course date has finished and you have all 3 of those circles checked off, then you'll receive your completion certificate and your graduate diploma of legal practice, your postgraduate qualification from the College of Law, and then you will go to the admissions board and begin the admissions process, which is really quite exciting. So what we might do is talk about the coursework first, and then we'll chat it on this slide a bit, Tracy, and then I might get you to, I'll stop sharing my screen and you can share your screen, and maybe, you know, we can flick to the behind the scenes, have a sneaky cheeky behind the scenes look. Yeah. And you can actually show people, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm a visual learner and I like to see what's up ahead of me. So it's really interesting to be able to physically see what the College of Law system looks like and how it works. So Tracy helps students through that process. So it'll be quite exciting to see that. So this is really how I actually think this is how learning for life works. Over and above the College of Law practical legal training, which is what this diagram represents. But I really think this is how we learn for life. And as lawyers, we do learn for life. We don't stop learning when we become admitted. And that's very important for our careers and probably more important for our clients, really. So we learn and then we practice. So your assessment will be actually taking what you've learned and putting it into, so you actually prepare real legal documents. So, you know, you'll get a task to do that reflects or mimics the world of work. And Tracy will be your mock boss, and you will prepare those documents and submit them. And then Tracy or one of her fellow lecturers will look at that, review that work, give you feedback. So they might say, you know, that was good, but this needs a tweak, or you need to go back and look at this and incorporate that. And how about this and how about that? And then you review that feedback, put it back into your work. You've learnt something, and then next time you're practicing that activity, you're better, you're more confident. You've made those mistakes in a sort of safe, secure environment and supportive environment, and you can put that back in, and so the circle goes round. So that's what the College of Law is all about, really. It's about practicing those practical skills of being a lawyer rather than just learning a theory. So I might stop sharing if that's all right, Tracy, and then you can have control. And we can see a little bit of what you'll see. Now, Tracy has a lot of courses on the go, so her screen will probably look a little bit busier than what yours will when you actually get here.
Yeah, it will. Don't worry about that, everybody. If you do see me flicking through some subjects, don't worry that there's a whole lot there, that you don't have that many. This is the behind the scenes look at what the learning portal actually looks like. So what I've just got there on the screen is the dashboard, as we call it, or the home page. And that gives you a bit of an idea of what our learning portal looks like. I know that you guys have your own learning portal, and I think it's a fairly good one, actually. This is not too dissimilar, and I found that people usually say it doesn't take long to get used to it, so that's good. I'm currently learning a different learning portal, and it's taking me quite some time to do it, but that might be just showing my age. Our learning portal is pretty good because there's all sorts of different ways to get into the areas you need to get into. You know, we've got different options for looking for things. The main one is this, the dashboard, which allows you to go straight to your courses, also known as subjects, your calendar, your inbox for all the emails. These ones aren't used so much, but all the basics are here, plus all your requirements for how to navigate the learning portal and where to find things. So it's a pretty good system. It's pretty straightforward, and I'd certainly recommend that you spend a bit of time, you know, navigating around, at least half an hour, just setting things up and making sure you know where everything is. One of the things I was going to look at for you, just to show you what it looks like when we come to start the course. I haven't done this before. I usually go and show you what one of our subjects looks like, and I will do that. But I just thought it might be good to look at one of the pages where you start the course right at the beginning, and we're either face-to-face in one of the classrooms at the uni, or we're online like this doing Zoom, depending on how it's all set up at the time. So what we do is we do usually 1 week of workshops, and the workshops are all about those compulsory subjects, the core subjects, the core competencies they're called, that you must do to satisfy the admissions board. So you must do these particular introductory subjects as well as the coursework. And this is basically what it looks like. It's called Lawyers Skills, and we do a whole range of workshops with you, and that's what they all look like. So again, I mean, Jackie's mentioned that we have evening classes now, so there's a little bit of difference in terms of how those timetables work. But traditionally, we'll do a 1 week block of workshops, and we'll tackle all of these different subjects on any given day. So you'll get to have a bit of a taste of some of these things, such as, you know, ethical decision making in practice, interviewing clients, negotiation and dispute resolution, some advocacy skills for court work, and dealing with some problem solving in real life scenarios, risk management, writing and drafting, and so on. So that's sort of what our lawyers skills week looks like. And each day you would come along and click on the first subject and find out what you're going to be doing, do a little bit of reading. You've got videos you can watch, you've got an activities document, you partner up for certain activities, you do interactive presentations, and you get some real life scenarios to work with as well. So has anyone got any questions about what our first week of workshops looks like? Or...
Just to mention that all the resources that you need are there, aren't they, Tracy? They don't have to run down to the bookshop and spend another $100. We do give you some textbooks. They're included in the fee that you pay. They're available online, and you can get a hard copy if you like. But there's nothing else that you won't need to do anything separate to what we give you.
Yeah, look, I just think that's one of the best things about the college is that you really do not need to go off looking at any other stuff. You don't need to. If you've got precedents of work that you like to use or anything like that, fine, not a problem. Go and use those. But for every single assignment or activity that you do, the college has this whole range of different resources, and they're linked for you. You don't have to go scrolling off trying to look in the Supreme Court resources for a particular form. It'll be linked for you in the activity resources. You know, the textbooks, the relevant section will be linked for you. So it's very easy for you to work with the resources, and you don't really need to go outside. I just thought I'd mention too, we have a brilliant library. The reason I thought of that tonight is that someone was doing their final elective oral assessment the other day and said, do you know what? I only just realised that there was a library and I could have been utilising LexisNexis and Ostley and stuff. And I said, oh, you're kidding. I reminded everybody about that. And she said, yeah, I just plumb forgot. And I said, well, I have to keep reminding people because it's a great resource. We have a brilliant library. You can access it any time you like. And it's got everything that you need on there. Look, all the Ostley stuff, LexisNexis, Westlaw, there's brilliant precedents, cases. And if you are trying to find something and you're not sure where it is, our library people are brilliant too. You just email them and ask them to help you, and they'll find something for you and send it. You don't have to go and do it yourself. So I just thought I'd mention that. Any questions about any of that?
And I know that a lot of people who are admitted they might not keep their uni books with them in their office when they are actually a lawyer, but they quite often keep their College of Law practice papers and resources.
Yeah, well, I have them too. I mean, they're just really useful. I'm a big fan because I do a lot of succession law. I'm a big fan of the wills and estates and administration of deceased estates particularly. That section's really, really well done in our textbooks. So I certainly use that, and so do other people in the office.
And we actually have a new thing coming. It's actually being trialled at the moment called a New Lawyer Toolkit. So by the time you guys are in PLT, it should be up and running, and you'll actually have access to a lot of resources after, you know, when you're a new lawyer and admitted and out of PLT. So we're trying to extend the reach of the resources that the College of Law has access to is just incredible, and we're extending that access to all College of Law graduates beyond PLT. So that's really quite exciting.
Yeah, that is a good resource actually. So the other thing I was just going to show you behind the scenes is what one of our subjects looks like. So, you know, you've got course subjects that you're going to do online. That's your coursework. So I just thought I'd explain a little bit about how they work and what to expect from it. So this one is civil litigation practice, which is the second of the core subjects. Obviously, it's a big subject. There's a lot in it. There's quite a lot of work for you to do. And particularly, I find, because most people coming to do PLT have not had a lot of exposure to litigation practice yet. I mean, some have, sure, and that's great, but a lot of people haven't had the chance to do things like drafting affidavits or submissions or court forms or anything like that. So this is often quite a challenging area to start working in. The sorts of things you will do involve actual court documents, and you'll be preparing an interlocutory application, and you'll do some written and oral submissions. So it's quite a challenging thing to deal with.
But a lot of students say fun, because they maybe haven't had the opportunity to actually jump and be on their feet, so to speak, doing practical things. So
yeah, well, and it is kind of fun because it is practical. You know, this is not the theory. This is practice. This is what you would actually do in practice. So the sorts of things you do for each subject is you usually have 3 different tasks that you've got to tackle. And often those tasks are made up of 2 different activities within the one task. And they're often things that are a bit more challenging than you might think. So make sure you give yourself enough time for them. So in this case, you come along and look at what's required for task 1, for instance, and you get some instructions. You'll have a file, you'll have some requirements about what you've got to do. You have resources to go and look at. You have a case study to use, and then you can upload your submission. That's only the first part of the task. And the second part of the task is a letter of advice. There's quite a lot in that alone. The third part of your task there is drafting a statement of claim. So if you just think about all of that work there, there's quite a bit in it. You do need to give yourself time to do it justice, in a sense, you know, to do the task properly. This is often an area, particularly in task 1 of civil litigation, where you know, people will be asked to resubmit their work. You know, perhaps they'll be told, look, you have to include this, you haven't thought about that, have a little bit of a redraft based on this format and these ideas. That's really common. You know, a lot of people have to resubmit work throughout PLT. Don't let that bother you. That's simply the lecturer taking on the task of, or the role, I should say, of the supervising solicitor. So same as you do at work, where your supervising solicitor says, oh yeah, look, that's coming along pretty well, that's a good effort, but I need you to go and think about these other things, or redraft this section and send it back to me. Same process happens here. So don't be disheartened.
And that's actually a good segue into the assessment at the end, isn't it? So so you'll put all these activities and tasks in. You'll take a quiz to say, are you eligible to sit the assessment? And then the assessment, it sounds scary, but it's really not, a 100% oral assessment. What that is you jumping online like this and having a chat with Tracy, one of the lecturers, and going through what you've learned. She'll ask you some questions. And that's because, again, in the real world of work, your boss doesn't say, how are you going with that matter? Can you write me a 500-word summary or a 1,000-word summary and have it on my desk by next Friday, and I'll mark it out of 10? They say, how's it going? You know, talk. And you have to verbally, don't you? So how do you think the assessment is different to uni? And are people usually scared for the first one?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think by the time you get to the assessment, especially the first one, you don't know what to expect, because, I mean, most of us are used to doing those open book exams, aren't we? And this process is a little bit like an open book exam. I mean, you can have access to your notes as much as you need, but what it's really testing, I guess, is your ability to start thinking like a lawyer. So it's that process of sitting down in front of your supervising solicitor and saying, well, look, I've had a look at these instructions, I've had a look at such and such a provision in the Act, or case, or whatever it might be, and I think this is what the options might be in terms of dealing with this issue. And in that instance, you know, you'd want to be able to say, look, section XYZ in the Property Act says this has to happen. So I think in this case, this is how we need to approach it, and this is the advice we need to give to the client. So that's the sort of answer you'll be giving, rather than writing a response based on, you know, some theoretical question. So it's a very different scenario.
Shay, and usually by the time people get their second one, they go, oh, okay, that wasn't as bad. Shay's got a really good question. So back to the tasks and activities before that one, are the tasks graded or competency based?
Yeah, I did see that. And Shay, the answer is that the actual coursework, these activities, are just competency based. So you'll either be marked off as having been completed or not completed, as the case may be. So there's no actual mark as in A, B, C, D or anything like that. And if you're asked to resubmit things, you know, the mark will be held as incomplete until you resubmit it to the satisfactory standard. Again, it's not unusual to have to resubmit things, so don't be disheartened by it. So that's how that works. The oral assessment's a bit different. It's 100%. And the oral assessment is marked as in, you know, distinction, credit, pass, etc. This is what the oral assessment looks like. There should be a rubric available to us here.
Rubrics for everything. We love a rubric at the College of Law.
We love a rubric. Look, you know, in all fairness, I think
it's good. If you follow
the
it,
unis like them too.
Oh, so, yeah, unis like a rubric too. So you guys are probably used to a rubric.
Yeah, everyone likes a bit of a rubric.
Really.
Yeah, so this is what that looks like. We include things like a reflection on learning, which sounds a bit soft in a way, but it is not. It's designed to make you, again, start thinking like a lawyer. You know, what have I actually got out of this subject? How did I go into it? What did I know before? What have I got out of it now? Can I see myself working in this? How does it apply to the work experience I'm doing now, etc., etc. So don't forget about that part of your oral assessments. It's worth 10%. So put some effort into it and get yourself a good mark. It's a great start to your oral assessment. You know, if you have a good discussion with the assessor about, you know, what you've got out of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what that looks like. One thing I will say too about, you know, the actual activities, all the resources are available to you for everything, and they're really good resources. However, this is not like uni. You do not have pre-recorded lectures. You don't have tutorials. Your resources are quite different. They're designed for you to go and utilise just as you would in practice. Of course, in practice, you don't get to listen to a lecture or go to a tutorial before you do something. This is, you know, practical legal training. So you're required to actually go and look at the specific resources, particularly legislation and case law, and apply it to the assignment that you've got. So that's one of the sets of resources you've got. There's plenty there. There is so much that's available to you. We have videos as well, and they're all pretty useful things.
Excellent. Does anyone have any questions about the coursework, tick box 1? We've got 2 more tick boxes to go. Well, Tracy's going to hang around for the rest of the hour, so if you do have any questions at the end, you can certainly, if it pops into your head a bit later, and certainly if it is after tonight, you can always contact me as well, and if I can't answer, I will get the answer from the lecturer for you. So let's go back to our other slides and continue with those. So we were talking about coursework and learn, practice, feedback, review, and learn, practice, feedback, review in a continuous loop from here till eternity. And that's all about, it's really a model for life, really, as well as a model for learning in the law, as well as a model for PLT. So that covers the coursework tick box 1. You will learn from all of our lecturers. Oh, look, there you are, right on the end there, Tracy. And these are some of our other, but there is many, many years of amazing, incredible, deep quality experience just in that row of mugshots. And we have, that's only some of our Queensland lecturers. So some of our lecturers were in a previous corporate life, very experienced lawyers, and they have come to the College of Law full-time because mentoring and guiding the next generation of lawyers is their passion and their calling. But we also have lots and lots of part-time lecturers like Tracy, who still is, in her day job, a real-life lawyer, so working in wills and estates and a few other areas, but predominantly that area, and then also teaching with us because, again, mentoring and guiding the next generation of lawyers is her passion as well. So we have lawyers, we have barristers, we have people on tribunals, we have mediators, we have pretty much anyone, pretty much, every area of the profession is covered by the experience of our lecturers. So we're very, very lucky indeed to have the talent that we do guiding you throughout PLT, and great connections as well to have, because obviously they know a lot of people as well. So that's just a little bit about our staff. Now let's talk about tick box 2, work experience. And we again have choices for you to make. Choices are a good thing. So at the moment, right before COVID, I would be saying we have 2 choices for you. Those choices were always 75 days of work experience with no additional program. So you do 75 days, 60 of those days, and this is quite exciting, can be claimed retrospectively. So you can actually claim 60 of your 75 days in the 2 years prior to PLT. So let's just say that some of you are starting in November of this year, 2020. If you look back to November of, sorry, it's 2022, isn't it? Sorry, it's all one big blur. If you look back to November of 2020 through to November of 2022, when you might be starting PLT, anything in that 2-year period that meets the rules up to 60 days, it can be at separate employers, can count. Now, if you want to do it a bit quicker, or sometimes people aren't working in a legal role, but they get a volunteer opportunity that'll count, but they can't, it's a bit unrealistic when you've got a mortgage or bills or rent to pay and, children and other responsibilities. To take 75 days off work to go and do that. You can do a 15-day option, so three weeks if you want to do it in one block, and you then do an additional subject. So it's five-week online program. So it's an extra subject, start date, finish date, and some assessment, and that sort of overrides 60 of the days. Now, of course, there's always a COVID option. This is actually getting less and less popular as more, we were talking today about other states are still struggling with work experience for students, but Queensland seems to be quite robust. And there does seem to be an increasing number of PLT opportunities and graduate roles available. So, but if for whatever reason we have a 0-day option, but you do an additional 8-week online program matched with a mentor. So every group has a mentor for that group. So Tracy might be the mentor for your group as you go through. However, you get a one-on-one mentor. So you'll have 2 separate people, and that person takes you through a body of work. Now that we are at the discretion of the new Chief Justice and all the admitting bodies for that. So as far as I know, at the moment, which way is the wind blowing? That is available until the end of the year. So if you are coming to us in PLT next year or the year after, that potentially won't be available, which is good. It means that there's a bunch of jobs available, so we don't need it anymore. So 75 days and 15 days plus our clinical experience module, which is what the subject is called, will always be available. And the 0-day one may or may not be available depending on when you're coming to us. Now, there is an extra cost for the extra subjects, but no additional cost just for the 75-day option because you're not doing any extra subjects. I did also want to mention a question I often get is when can you start PLT? The answer to that is as soon as if you choose, have completed your Priestley 11 and only have 2 or less electives left to go. And another question I also get is how do you pay? And you can put it on fee help. So I just thought I'd throw those in while I was thinking of them. So that's work experience, 3 different options, 75 days with a reflective journal signed off by your supervisor. So it's not the College of Law signing you off, it's actually the person you're working for signing that off. They are a practicing lawyer that says, yes, this person meets the rules, meets the standards, and I recommend them also, you know, to be admitted to the profession as a practicing lawyer myself or a practitioner myself. You do a form at the beginning and the end in this reflective journal. The 15 days, you do the 15 days, you have that signed off by your supervisor as well. You sign, they sign, beginning and end. Then you do enroll in the subject and you pay for that subject and do a body of work. Or the 0 day is when you just enroll straight into a separate subject. I think the clinical experience model that goes with the 15 days is $1,500, and the in practice component, IPC, which goes with the 0 days with the mentor, is $2,000. So it totally depends on what you want to do. So that's tick box 2. Tick box 3 is continuing professional education. This is the often forgotten cousin. So we do like to remind everyone that there is a third component. This is 10 self-paced online interactive modules, which are kind of quite fun, actually. It is concentrated on legal technology and business skills to add to your legal skills. And this has come straight from employers saying, hey, great legal skills coming out of your grads, but they need to know a little bit about the business side. So while the law will always be a profession, it is a profession, it will always be a profession. It's an ancient profession, lots of traditions and the likes. It also still is a business, and you need to be able to keep the lights on and pay your staff and potentially pay yourself as well. So, and even if you're working for other people, you will be expected to be bringing them in work and sort of being involved in the business side of it. So we're looking at those. You basically just do 10, like here's 10 modules, do them before the end of the course. So if you want to block out a weekend and smash through them in one weekend, you can do that. If you, a bit like me with Bridgerton, just sit down and just go through it. That's how I did that. So you can do that with your modules. You can just Bridgerton the whole 10 of them, or you might go, oh, I think I'll just do 2 a weekend, and that's how I'll do it. And so it's totally up to you as long as you get them done. Now, at the end of it, you will get an extra certificate. So it's a certificate of legal technology and business, which is kind of a cool thing to add to your resume and your LinkedIn as well. So that's quite cool. Once you've done that, that's that third tick box. Now, as a lawyer, you will be, and Tracy will have to do this as a legal practitioner herself. Every year, you have to do your 10 points of CPE, don't you? And you have to submit that to the Queensland Law Society, and that's the condition of being granted your practicing certificate for the following year. That and some money. So you have to do that every year through the Queensland Law Society. So we're just practicing doing that. We just won't charge you for it. It's part of the course. All right, we have lots of people, but some behind the scenes, some in front of the scenes, like Tracy, here to support you throughout your journey at the College of Law. We have an amazing student liaison team, or our student services team, and they are here to answer your questions about the nuts and bolts of the program and so the admin side of it, pretty much from now through to when you're finishing up the program. They're great. You can talk to them on the phone or via email. You can actually book one-on-one sessions with some of our student liaison people that look after PLT, although you can also just call me as well. So I'm your personal student liaison person. We have instructors, so Tracy and all her colleagues who are your first port of call when you're in the course. So if you're something's come up at work, you have to go to court, or a matter's popped up and you can't submit something by a certain date, then you would contact your lecturer and say, hey, this is going on. Could I have an extra couple of days to get that done? And then the lecturer will work with you to find a solution for that. So they'll keep you on track to get you through the program. We also do have 2 wonderful career coaches. So that's Susan on screen. We also have another lady called Ruth. Susan works 3 days, Ruth works 2, and between the 2 of them, they work with all of our current students. So you actually have to be a College of Law student or recent graduate to access them because they're so busy. If you do think you want to access them, do it in advance because sometimes it's a bit of a waiting list, but they'll help you with interview prep, resume reviews, and building your personal brand as well. They also run a lot of free webinars that we give students access to, university students access to. So see those advertised through the Sunshine Coast Law Student Society. Please join us. It's completely free. And of course, we have hundreds of employers on our jobs board and through our college alumni as well. All right, I'm going to zip through the rest of the slides because I want to take some questions as well. PLT, 9,640 for Australian and permanent residents. Fee help is available. So fee help is the like HECS, but we call it something different for postgraduate. 13,910 for international students. Now, the options are, so if that's your coursework, so if you're just doing that with the 75 days, that's all you'll pay, textbooks, access to everything's included. If you do the 15-day work experience with a 6-week module, it's $1,500 extra, so coursework and $1,500. If you do at the moment, what we've got available, the 0-day work experience, which is 8 weeks with a mentor, it's $2,000. So you do coursework and that, and it's all on fee help. Pretty much covered all this, I think. Skills for real life. It's very much about role plays, negotiation, courtroom appearance under the guidance of real lawyers, barristers and judges. So giving you feedback and helping you have confidence in what you'll do day to day as a real lawyer. Mimicking the world of work. It's not about university anymore, about learning great tracks of theory. It's mimicking how you would actually work as an entry-level lawyer. Giving you that feedback in a constructive, supportive environment, and then review sessions, which is the non-threatening name for oral assessments, Tracy. So that's where you actually book in and do it at a time that suits you. There'll be certain days and then certain slots, and you'll pick which one suits you the best, and you'll book a session with an assessor, and they'll ask you some questions over a two-way screen like this, and you'll pretty much know by the end of it if you've passed or failed. Now, we put together a few recommendations on, these are just some thoughts on how to pick a PLT provider. You've got some options. Of course, number 6 is choose College of Law, but you know, I'll give that to you subliminally. Number 1, do they have regular intakes? So we've got 150 across Australia with at least 30 across Queensland. You don't have to wait a whole semester if you miss one. You just have to wait a couple of weeks till the next one. Can you study your way? You can study with the College of Law part-time, full-time or evening, which is a part-time course with that first week divided into 12 small bite-sized pieces. So you don't actually have to take time off work. Is it a program you can complete quickly? We can get you through in 15 weeks if you are submitting everything on time, getting your work experience done. You obviously have to keep up your end of the bargain and tick off 1, 2 and 3, but we can get you through in 15 weeks. Chat to your friends and colleagues. Now, I can tell you that there was a list of 25 rising legal stars or something like that on the Sunshine Coast. So I think, no, 25 Sunshine Coast Young Guns list just came out about a month ago. And guess how many of those were College of Law Practical Legal Training graduates? 100%. Every single one of those had gone through the College of Law. You will find that most graduates of University of Sunshine Coast come through College of Law. And so there's lots and lots and lots of people for you to chat with and ask about what their experience was and how they found it. So if you are working, you'll probably find that some of the people that you're working with or for have been through the College of Law. They've sometimes done PLT, but sometimes there's a lot that have done their masters with us as well and are now coming back for further study with us. Local campuses, local content, local practitioners. So we teach on the Sunshine Coast if you want to do it face-to-face on the Sunshine Coast and don't want to come to Brisbane. If you're moving around the state, there's also the Gold Coast, Rockhampton, Cairns, Townsville, and Toowoomba, and local content, so Queensland-based practice papers and local practitioners like Tracy in your local area teaching the content as well. So then number 6, choose College of Law. It's me being cheeky. This is some achievements from the last year. It's all great. We had 277 qualified lawyers across Australia mentoring our students. Susan and Ruth did 425 career consultations. We delivered PLT in 19 different locations, 20 if you count online. And we did a record. We just had to keep adding programs. So we did over 180 PLT intakes across 7 Australian states and territories, and over 5,000 new lawyers entered the profession after coming through the College of Law. So we certainly do more PLT than anyone else does. So we must be doing something right if we have to keep adding courses. And this is just other bits and pieces. One thing I did want to mention is if you do go thinking about a master's, which people sort of do 3 to 5 years after admission, we do have a very practical master's program. And if you've done PLT with us, you can actually count 2 subjects in credit towards that PLT, which when you're a busy lawyer, every credit that you can take is great, and 6 subjects, you can do it one at a time. We have 4 sort of semesters a year. You can get that done in a year and a half. You don't have to do a subject every semester if you don't want, but that's kind of cool. And we're celebrating 6 years of the Centre for Legal Innovation. If you've got any interest in technology in the law, you need to check out the Centre for Legal Innovation. Now, here's something exciting. We are the principal partner of the Queensland Law Society Legal Careers Expo at the Convention Centre, 9th of May, 12 to 4. You will step into the door and be smacked in the face by a beautiful, gorgeous stand right in front of you. Come and find me, say hello. We'd love to see you, chat to us about PLT. We have fabulous goodie bags, which will have some really good free stuff. So come and see us. Now, if you are thinking about coming along, you would like to come and assist on our stand as a College of Law student ambassador, you can be emailing me and asking me about that. So I'll pop some information in the email. So come on and get your resume and your LinkedIn profiles like reviewed by real lawyers. You do have to book in advance for those. So get on the Queensland Law Society website. You can get a free professional headshot. This is gold. Dress up, you know, ladies, gentlemen, if you want, put your makeup on, do your hair, get a haircut, put your fabulous interview outfit on, come along, make a good impression and get a free photo. I believe if you scan that QR code there, it'll take you to the registration page, but I'm going to send it to you as well. So don't worry about that. And then finally, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I love it after a presentation when my phone starts going ping, 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 because it's everyone wanting to link with me on LinkedIn. Jackie is JACQI-ONOWEN. My handle is Owen Jackie because some other Jackie Owen's got Jackie Owen. Tracy Reeves is on there too. She'd love to connect with you. That's my phone number. That's my email address, but I'm going to be emailing you anyway, so you'll have that. And I also really recommending following the College of Law, particularly on LinkedIn and particularly on Facebook, and you'll find out when all our free events and sort of other employability assistance is happening. That apparently is a QR code to our handbook, but I'm going to send that to you as a PDF, or a link to the PDF, so you don't need to worry about that anyway. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. It's 7:03. I think we're making good time. And I'll come back, and if anyone has any questions, I'm watching the chat box, but feel free to flick your microphone on if you want to ask that verbally as well.
Jackie?
Yes?
One great question that I have. You mentioned that we can actually still be studying 1 or 2 subjects whilst doing PLT. Now, do you need to have those subjects completed before you finish PLT, or can you finish them after PLT and then obviously...
You'll usually be doing them at the same time. So what would happen is you finish your Priestley 11. They're called different names, and how they integrate into subjects is different at every university. But your law school will probably have a list of core subjects on their website. When you get down through those core subjects, which are the Priestley 11, and you have no more than 2 electives to go, you apply to the admissions board for permission to come into the course, and you'll usually be doing your 2 electives and PLT at the same time. Now, if you do sort of take a break, do PLT, which is not usually how it happens, you of course wouldn't get your completion certificate till after you finish uni, because you have to show us your like result, you know, your what do you call that, transcript, yep, and your degree as well. And you obviously have to take your degree through equals to the admissions board as well. So usually people are doing it at the same time for that reason. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. So there's no real major time limit after, like, in that gap between finishing PLT and completing the. Okay.
No.
Awesome.
I think, I don't know, Tracy, you probably don't see the thing. I think from my experience, most people have finished uni and then come in, but there is obviously always that small amount. Sometimes it depends on the uni. So I think we get a lot of Griffith students that come in under that because they've gone to the trimester, and especially when we were kind of in that changeover period where they had started on semesters and then they were in that window that changed to trimesters. And then I know sometimes USQ students, they usually don't come in because their last ethics Priestley is in the final semester and it's only offered a certain semester. So that prohibits them. So it kind of depends on your uni and sort of the order in which you chose to do things and when subjects are offered as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Jackie.
No worries. Got a good question. Would you recommend completing practical legal training if you're considering going down a different route, i.e. not practicing? Oh, good question. We could go back and forth about this all night, I think. What's your thoughts, Tracy? It's another string to your bow.
Yeah. Well, look, yeah, I've had quite a few people who decide not to practice. You know, for all sorts of reasons. They might be staying in the career that they want to stay in. The only thing I would say, look, of course you don't need to actually complete PLT if you're not going to be admitted to practice. That, you know, you don't have to do that at all. However, I have had a couple of people say to me that they ended up coming back and doing it because, for example, a couple of people were working in-house at various types of organisations, and they then found that they had the opportunity to move into the legal department of these particular areas that they were working in, and they realised then that there was great value in them actually completing PLT, getting their admission and becoming a lawyer in that department. So I guess it would depend a little bit on what you're planning on doing and whether there's any opportunity or any likelihood that you might move into the legal areas of that sort of career that you're already in. If not, then, you know, there's no obligation on you to go down that path and do PLT.
And you can let your practicing certificate lapse if in 5 years you've gone, oh, turning left, going this way. Yeah. And you can let your practicing certificate lapse. We've got plenty of our grads that are working in some of the big 4 firms, so your Price Waterhouse, you know, your PwC and your EY, and they are kind of in roles that are, and these are people who are, the ladies that I'm thinking about particularly, they're actually qualified chartered accountants. They did accounting law and qualified lawyers. So they don't take one hat off and wear the other. They kind of wear both hats. So when they're advising on a deal, they can come at it from a legal standpoint as well, not just an accountant's point of view. So it'll totally depend on where you find yourself and where the opportunities come along. So it's a really good question, and we could probably ask 10 different you know, people in all sorts of different roles and get 10 different answers. So I think you know when you get to that decision though, as to what opportunities, and you don't have to come straight into practice either, and PLT either. At the moment, we have no stale qualification rule, which means, put it this way, one guy did his PLT and his degree was older than some of his colleagues in the course. And I was like, oh, you were born in that year and you got your degree in that year. However, that's about to change, FYI, insider information. So that's coming. So it might be that there's a 5-year limit, so which I think is a good idea. And I've just been reminded that Network and Nibbles is coming up on the 13th of May. So that's a great question.
Yeah.
So let's all put that up our sleeve and ask some of the industry professionals, including Tracy, including our Executive Director, Anne-Marie David, and little old me, that will be there on the night, and all the other Sunshine Coast legal professionals. That's a really, really, really good question to have. And I think we've, Shay, is that the link to registration, is it? That's just gone in the chat. Tickets here. Yay.
Ooh, great.
Oh, Ruby's put that up there, tickets here. And I'm pretty sure that that will also be up on the LSA Facebook site momentarily as well.
Yeah. So if anyone's, you know, had a bit of a think about this aspect, whether they want to complete PLT or not, feel free to chat with me on the night. Or if you've got questions about the coursework or what electives you think you might want to take and things like that you might be pondering, you know, I'm happy to talk to you about that. And I promise not to try and influence you to do wills and estates. No, I will. But, you know, we've got really good elective subjects. They're really nice contemporary sorts of activities to do. They're really interesting, and you do your electives at the end of the coursework. So it's kind of nice to do the areas where you've got a real interest at the end, I think. Absolutely. But anything like that, feel free to ask me.
And if you're a bit nervous about coming along to the networking, don't be. Tracy's really nice. She doesn't bite many people. I hardly ever bite anyone. And you've got to meet Anne-Marie Davis. So come along and we will introduce you to her. Come along and hang with us for a bit if you're nervous. And, you know, Ruby and Shane, the team will be there as well. So it's all very friendly. The Sunshine Coast legal profession is special. So I go all over the state, and don't tell anyone else I said this, and I don't say it anywhere else, but the Sunshine Coast community is special. They're so excited to have one of the new, you know, the newer law schools on the Sunshine Coast, and they've been really supporting and mentoring and encouraging their own and employing their own. And there are people that have got jobs out of going to these sorts of events and meeting people, and they are there because they want to talk to you and they want to help you and they want to encourage you and answer all these questions. And it's complete. I mean, you know, there's good, you know, environments and communities in other areas, but the Sunshine Coast, don't you think, Tracy, it's particularly special? There's some amazing, and, you know, 25
really good practitioners who are interested, very interested in employing local students as well, our you know, obviously graduates, you know, people who do want to stay and build a practice on the coast as well. There's often a really great interest in that. So just because you don't necessarily see people out and about or see them actually advertising doesn't mean they're not interested. Like a lot of lawyers, they often don't get round to things, you know. So being able to be in front of them, have a chat, introduce yourself is just a great way to sort of start, you know, pushing yourself gently forward, build your own brand as a early practitioner, and just start doing that little bit of networking, you know.
So important. And I mean, you know, I've had some certain people that are on that young guns list say to me that when their boss wants to employ, she goes, hey, who do you know? She says that to her staff. So don't just talk to the senior practitioners, talk to the people who were in your shoes 2 to 3 to 4 years ago, who have come through the University of the Sunshine Coast, and chat to them and get to know them, connect with them on LinkedIn. I'm going to send you a little LinkedIn tips booklet. So read that and put those, you know, spruce up your profile before the 13th of May and get to know those younger practitioners as well, because when their boss wants to put someone on for PLT placement or for a permanent graduate role, they'll say, hey, blah, blah, who do you know?
That's exactly what happens. Yeah. Yeah, I often get asked that. You know, I've had someone who said, oh, look, you know, I've had 2 PLT students, you know, graduates from PLT at the college. Where can I get another one? As if you can sort of order somebody, you know, off the menu.
Hold on, here's I'll just check my bottom drawer. Oh, yes,
yeah, here's one. Yeah, so, you know, that's the easiest path for them to take. You know, if they know someone, they'll say, oh, can I get another one of those people from the college? Those last 2 were excellent, really liked them, like the Sunshine Coast uni graduates too, they're really good. And I want someone local, you know, so they'll ask somebody else. So the more people you sort of get to know and, you know, network with, the better it is. And it can be a very collegiate type of profession that way.
Absolutely. And I think the University of Sunshine Coast and College of Law Practical Legal Training is just a match made in heaven. And I've even had students at Sunshine Coast ask me, how everyone goes to college? And I'm like, well, you know, we're fabulous. So, but it's just something that's just naturally happened. So anyway, I think it's time for us all to go and either get to study, turn on whatever one of the MasterChef or Lego Masters or what else is happening, The Voice, whatever one of those floats your boat the most, or do some work or cook some dinner, and also remember to jump online and register for Nibbles and Networking, and we're really looking forward to seeing you in person. So if there's no more questions, we'll sign off and look forward to seeing you in the flesh, so to speak, on the 13th of May on the Sunshine Coast.
Thank you, Jackie.
Everyone.
Thanks, Tracy.
Oh, thanks, guys.
See you then.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night. See you soon.
See ya.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.